What's up, Dunwoody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's all about Dunwoody, Georgia. My name is Matt Weber. Her name is Chaya. And the show is brought to you by Village Orthodontics, who is the best orthodontist in town in Dunwoody. I know that you know him too. So Chaya, you are somebody that I've just seen around the community a lot, or not in person, but I've seen you on social media, I guess, which is where people see each other these days. And you're part of that community group, and you just seem like you're doing a lot of good around the community. And so I thought I'd have you on today. I know a little bit. I've got some notes, but I know a little bit about what you guys do. But tell me about how you ended up in Dunwoody, where Mitzvah House came from, and just start at the beginning.
Hi.
I may stop you during it.
Yeah, that's a good call, by the way. Hi, I'm Chaya. Thanks for having me on, Matt. I really appreciate it. And a big shout out to your Dunwoody Community Forum Facebook group, because it's one of my favorite Facebook groups. It's very entertaining. The people of Dunwoody really bring the comic factor, and it's just a great way to share about our events and stuff. And I really appreciate that resource. So thank you. We ended up in Dunwoody. We lived in the Virginia Highland area, and we ended up in Dunwoody kind of by mistake. We were looking for another community that we would be able to get a house in. And we found the beautiful Dunwoody Brook Run. There's a Jewish community here that's fantastic. We are able to walk to synagogue. We go to Ariel. And we just really feel like we hit the jackpot. Dunwoody is like that perfect location to every other place in Atlanta, right? If it's a little over 20 minutes, and I'm like, ooh, that's far from Dunwoody, right? Like everything's that perfect 20-minute sweet spot. And so it's really been an absolute blessing. A lot of divine providence, actually. We were looking for a place for a while, and we didn't consider Dunwoody at all. And it just, all the things worked out. Like the angels were singing as we entered Dunwoody, and this was our place. We had somebody connect us to somebody who was selling a house, and we bought this beautiful place that we live in. And honestly, it just worked out perfectly. Mitzvah House happened very organically. My husband and myself were always involved in the nonprofit sector. We took a short break to open up the store. It was then Dapper-B. It's now Weeby Baby in Chambly. So if you are on Chambly Dunwoody Road, there's a cute baby store. So we took a short break to be in the for-profit sector. We quickly realized that wasn't for us, because when people would walk in and they just had a baby, obviously we were selling baby products. And when they would walk in and they just had a baby, I was like, here's a gift. I'm so happy for you. And my husband's like, Chaya, I think that this is just not it. This is not us. This is not a us thing. So we were always, when we got married, my husband was doing an internship at Yale University. We then did like a nonprofit gig in New Zealand and Australia. We were traveling around in an RV, visiting Jewish people, trying to bring some Jewish identity and experiences. We were in Cartagena, Colombia. We were in Greece and in Israel and in Petaluma, California. We were in a lot of places doing nonprofits like gigs. And we ended up in Atlanta for another short.
And Hawaii. I saw Hawaii. That's the one that stuck out.
You like that one? Well, Hawaii's beautiful. We were there doing some sort of like a little bit of a farming gig, so it was a little different, but that was also fantastic. Yeah. I've asked, I think, in the group a few times about like having goats and chickens in Dunwoody, because I do have that side to me that's dreaming of milk cows. But we were in a lot of places like that. We came to Atlanta to do another short-term nonprofit gig, and we realized that we ended up in paradise, and here we still are. I mentioned the 20-minute sweet spot, but we also appreciate that Atlanta is that like really convenient location to drive to places, right? Like you can get to the beach easily, you can get to the mountains easily, you can get to cute places like New Orleans, or even, well, New York's a bit farther, but you could make it there, and it's not like moving to California, right? So there's that really great sweet spot. We feel really lucky to be here. Thanks for inviting us to the community, everyone. I was in the middle of saying something. I was saying that Mitzvah House happened organically because we always were kind of involved in the nonprofit sector. We were always like giving out matzah come Pesach, and we were always, it's Hanukkah, let's put up menorahs. And it was a really beautiful thing where we've had people, community rally behind us and kind of join our things and support us, until eventually we were like, oh, maybe this will grow faster if we kind of like put a name on it. And so that's how Mitzvah House happened. We want people to do more good deeds. Ultimately, we'd like to put ourselves out of business. We want the world to be so fantastic and everybody to be taking every opportunity to do good, that there is no need for an organization to prompt people to do more good.
Right. I like the way that you phrased it. It was, they say you have to be crazy to think you can change the world, so get crazy with us. And then, I mean, you just like all the stuff on the website. I thought was pretty
thanks.
cool.
I was wondering where you saw about us. I guess you went on our website. Shout out! I designed it. I feel really proud because I didn't know I had graphic design within me, but I designed it. So I appreciate that you said that it looks really cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I like a lot of stuff on it. And then, so mitzvah is a good deed, right? Is that the terminology?
So mitzvah does, like, if for its practical purposes, it means a good deed. But the actual translation of, meaning the common use of the word mitzvah means to do a good deed. Like you did a mitzvah when somebody, when you did something nice, like, oh, you did a mitzvah for me, right? So the concept, the word mitzvah is from a different concept, though. The root word in Hebrew, there's like root words of each word. And the word mitzvah comes from a word that means to connect. So mitzvah really comes from the concept that when you do a good deed, you are connecting with God. You're strengthening the rope between you and God, because his whole purpose of wanting this beautiful world was not that it should be a jungle, but to make it into a garden, that it should be well tended to. And we're those gardeners. And when we make this world like a tad bit more civilized and good and bright and beautiful, then we're inviting God a little bit more into the world. So we're connecting him literally into our life. We're bringing him down here. I feel like I'm going to get flack, bringing him or her into this world. We're bringing God into this world.
Yeah. So what do you guys do? Like, how do you, what are these good deeds? Just give me some examples.
So on a day-to-day basis, it looks like a lot of Jewish identity stuff, but it's really lots of any good deed. So what I mean is that on a day-to-day basis, we have, let's say, a second Saturday for bring-in. There's a concept that people say they come just for Kiddush, JFK. So that means that they don't go to services part, they come just for the Kiddush. So just for the meal afterwards. Yeah. So we made a program, second Saturdays, where we have there's no services. It's just the for bring-in, the food part, and like sit around and sit with community. Yeah. That's been really powerful right now, post October 7th, because I find that there is tremendous, like, just comfort that comes from sitting around and connecting with others. And so that's really been a beautiful program. We do holiday programming over Hanukkah. We had like 6 or 7 programs. We visit a lot of assisted living facilities and bring things there and do classes, Torah classes.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot of teaching too.
Yes, and a lot of connecting. I think it's a lot of networking. A lot of just connecting with others. It's a lot of door to door. We did, let's say, a Shabbat gift package that we gave out. That one we did in partnership with the Dunwoody Minyan, where we gave out 240 Shabbat packages in honor of Rose Lubin and those who were at that point. It was 240. Now it's, I think, 140, somewhere around there. People who, I should know the number off the top of my head, but it's hard to think about very often. But we did 240 packages for those who were being held hostage, and we gave them to different houses around the area with volunteers, a lot of volunteer work. We're working on a project called A Big Kitchen, where people would come volunteer and cook once a month and give out Shabbat packages to somebody who you can nominate, maybe someone who's had a baby or going through like medical treatment. So volunteer work. And then we also have a project that we love and are obsessed with. It's an ARC project. At the July 4th parade, we gave out thousands of them. There are these little yellow boats, and ARC stands for Acts of Random Kindness or Acts of Routine Kindness. And it's about creating a culture of giving. So you have one of these little yellow boats, and whenever you see it, you remind yourself, ooh, I should put in a penny, a nickel, a dollar, whatever. And when it's full, you give it to whatever charity you want. And that kind of just changes the focus of me centered and what I need to do about my day to like what I can do for others, what I can give. So these are just things we do, amongst other things.
Yeah, and thank you for participating in our parade. Those little boats that was a big deal. My son, that was one of the things that he mentioned.
Everyone, so, I think a lot of people who got it during the parade, there's like a lot less time to like kind of explain what they're getting. So I think a lot of people thought it might have been like
well, it was also pouring down rain on you.
Yes, yeah. I think some people thought it was like a bath toy, which is fine. You know, that's also cool. But yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put coins in, and that parade was. I actually had a moment where it was really powerful for me that we were at the end of the parade. So we were standing when it was pouring rain in the shopping center there with I guess it was maybe Dunwoody High
Okay.
School band. I don't know which band it was, but one of the bands, and they were playing music.
So you got soaking wet and then you
Yes.
walked.
And it was pouring like crazy. And the band was playing music, and a few of us were dancing, and some people looked stressed, but like a lot of people were dancing to the music. And I thought it was a really powerful message that, like, sometimes we try to choose the cheap seats, right? We want to be the ones who came to watch the game. We don't want to be part of the game, because the people who are playing the game, when the game gets sucky, they just could leave. The people who are watching the game, they can just leave. Like, what? I paid $30 for my ticket. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, you guys don't know how to throw a ball, right? Or like when you're watching the parade, you can just be like I'm out. This is not for me. Like, you should have thought about this beforehand. Why didn't you cancel? And everybody has their like advice, their cheap seat advice. But if you're one of the big players, either you're playing the game or you're sponsoring the game or you're in the parade, you're not going anywhere. And then you could choose to dance in the rain and live it. And you're there through the thick and the thin. And it was a really powerful message that, like, everybody likes when the stuff goes easy and you win the game. But like when it's real life, like, it's about really sticking it out and doing the good things and keep trucking even when it's really hard. And it's a beautiful thing that you do. That parade is fantastic. It gathers so many people and it must have been stressful. It's raining, and being able to just keep going is fantastic. It's powerful.
It was very stressful. And we, like, as we were starting the parade is when it started raining, and we were like, oh no, this is what's happening. I was worried about like the people that were marching. Nobody left. I was worried about like the sponsors. They were all super happy at the end. And the coolest part to me was that during the parade, I mean, I was like halfway through and I was almost in tears. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a disaster. And then I got up to the front, and the heads of the parade, the two guys from Dunwoody High School, Coach Bass and Fortenberry, were both like partying, like going everywhere, slapping hands with the crowd and stuff. And then I kind of looked around. I was like, nobody's really left. Like, this is so cool. That, I mean, it was young kids like with their shoes off, dancing in the puddles and stuff. And then there was old people that had just given up on having the umbrella and just put it down and were like sitting there soaking wet, cheering for everybody. I thought it was really cool. It was maybe the most meaningful Dunwoody moment that I've been around. I thought it was really, really cool. So I'm glad.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun. So, all right. Well, I saw that you, the menorah lights in the village and in the group, that you're the one that keeps going back and fixing those lights and stuff. Like, all the great stuff in the community that you're doing, we appreciate. How can people get in touch with you?
So I run our Instagram, and if you give us a follow, that brings me like an excessive amount of joy, more joy than it should. I need to delete Instagram, right? Because this is a little bit like, I should go on a run if I need some joy. But if you do like our account, it definitely brings me a lot of joy because it gets the word out. When you share our events, that also does. Facebook, Instagram, our website, and by doing more good deeds. Honestly, like, you can reach out to us through those platforms, but when you call your mother, when you reach out to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while, all those things really just kind of have that effect on we're in 2023, we know that our actions are really powerful, right? Like, we've seen, I think back in the day, they couldn't imagine how their things that they did in their little lives would like affect the whole world. But now we know that like little things people wish weren't on camera, but they're like shown to the whole world, right? Like, our deeds really do make a difference. And I think that that's a really powerful thing that you can do by adding more good. You're getting us closer to a time when there is just good. So that's a great way to get in touch with us. About them was menorah. I saw the conversations. People are like, oh, it's not lit. And I'm like, what's going on? So I'm like, what's happening with our menorah? And I'm wondering if people just didn't realize that it was like the second or third night. And that's why only 3 were lit. And they were like, oh, but it's odd ones. Well, because the middle one is the Shamish. That one's lit from the first night. Because we went and I was like, it's lit. I mean, except one night it's shorted. Friday night it did short. So there's that.
Yeah. We got a nice education in the process, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I bailed out.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I think that there was definitely that. And I'm laughing because Dunwoody's a small, beautiful community, and it's been lit up by like lots of menorahs, and there's so much good. I really feel like we were discussing before this recorded part how it feels like Dunwoody is definitely like a Mecca in Atlanta of Judaism, right? Like, there's so many opportunities to join in Jewish activities and to get involved, to learn. I feel like I've spoken to so many people that were never exposed to any Jewish culture, and now they live in Dunwoody, and they're like, I know all the things. This is so cool. So there's definitely that factor of living in Dunwoody. And I laugh that if I sneeze, somebody's going to say Gesundheit, which means like bless you in Yiddish, right? Like if I sneeze too loud by my porch, like there will be 4 neighbors who will all be like Gesundheit. So like, there's that. The neighborhood is watching in that case.
The Thai community. It's like a small town in like a big city. I love that movie.
So we really feel appreciative that we found this community and that we've met so many wonderful people here, and that we were able to build this organization in this spot. So thanks for hosting our spot here.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for all the good that you do in the community. And thanks for coming on the show. Your husband saw me. You guys do some good work. And so we appreciate it. And tell me if I can ever help with anything.
Thank you. I'll reach out.